Hi, my name is Adam Rakim. I'm from the Wonda Breakfast, and today I'm joined by Professor Jerry and Mr. Carl Fender, who are here with TEDxBukit Bintang. Obviously, thank you so much for joining here, gentlemen.
Great to be here with you, Adam.
Okay, cool. I don't want to keep you guys too busy, so we'll keep this as painless as possible, yeah? So my first question to you guys goes, TEDx begins with the belief that ideas can change how we see the world, right? What idea do you wish people understood more, especially in your line of work?
I think that the biggest idea is collaboration. Everything we do is, well, everything I do, at any rate, is about bringing together a team of experts to create something special. And there's nothing like the fertilization of brains around a table.
Yeah, nice. Professor Jerry, anything to add, or you agree with Mr. Carl?
Well, I think we should say that Carl is the principal architect for the new 118 Merdeka Tower.
Yes.
Which is a huge landmark for Kuala Lumpur.
Mm-hmm.
And so for Carl to be talking about collaboration, that's a big point. A tower like that doesn't get built
100%.
without years of collaboration across all sectors. And we're all
Thank you. I couldn't have said that better.
He's going to hire me after this.
Oh, nice. Hopefully. Yeah. Nice. Okay.
But I'm a public health academic. Carl and I both studied at Harvard University, and then I went on as faculty in the Oxford University Medical School for 20 years and worked a lot with Malaysia, and I'm based here in Malaysia now. And a lot of my focus, majority of my focus is on wellness, healthy lifestyle, preventive health care. My talk at the TEDx event was on the exact opposite of that. It was on the threat posed to us all by plastic in our air, in our food, in our water, particularly in the form of microplastic fragments. So my message specifically on that topic is wake up.
Okay.
Everybody needs to know about this, know what we can do to prevent the problem and to reverse the problem and get policymakers to weigh in on the problem, particularly as the Straits Times, but no media in Malaysia, reported on a study from the US and China that showed Malaysia has the highest microplastic consumption in the world.
Yeah. It's not hard to see. I mean, you look around, there's so much litter around the country. Yeah?
Litter, and it goes into, through runoff, it goes into the rivers and the streams.
100%.
It goes into the ocean. A major source of microplastic contamination is through fish and seafood.
Nice, I understand. So obviously you guys have both mentioned just then, you guys have years of experience and it takes years to become good at what you do. But maybe just one thing. What's one thing that you've learned that you think it's too important just to remain inside your profession? Like you said, Mr. Carl is an architect, right?
Well, the world is looking for a sustainable pathway forward. So it's every, that covers everything, every profession, everything we do. And certainly in architecture, it's definitely front and central, but it also goes way beyond that, of course.
Nice. Mr. Jerry, anything?
Yeah. Well, Adam, I think we're all learning that lifestyle can prevent illness later in life.
Oh, yes. Sure.
That's really my big message, that movement, exercise, is actually the single biggest contributor to healthy longevity.
Mm-hmm.
Healthy diet, stress management and reduction, proper sleep, good relationships, all of the components of a healthy, fulfilled lifestyle are the predictors of a healthy longevity.
Yes, because I actually read somewhere where it said that the best anti-aging pill is weightlifting. It's actually lifting weights and keeping your body strong.
You need to talk to an orthopedic surgeon about that, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Exercise, definitely.
Exercising, right?
But maybe in later age, strengthening is good. Stop you falling over, strengthen the bones and that sort of thing.
Understand. But, perfect. Beautifully said. So, in you guys' experience, was there a belief you held strongly at the beginning of your career that experience experience eventually forced you to rethink?
It's not a revelation in a moment. Certainly in my profession, it develops. You start with energy, thinking you know everything. You realise pretty quickly when you get into industry that you don't.
Yes.
And then it becomes, certainly in architecture, a long path of evolving and thinking and being exposed to a lot of ideas, a lot of different design situations. And so even now, I mean, next year I've got a big birthday coming up, 80, and I still feel like I'm learning, you know.
Yes, yeah.
And there's some profoundly good architects that started actually late in life, and their training was in other fields, but led to them going into architecture and having a well-rounded and beautiful career in the latter part of their life. So they learnt their learning path was quite different, but it gave them the platform to go into architecture, and so they were learning. You know, Frank Lloyd Wright, he's doing things in his very old age, and actually I think he was probably saying that he was teaching everybody rather than learning, but everybody is learning over a long period of time in architecture.
Yeah, I guess they say if you're the smartest person in a room, you should find a different room, right?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Maybe you can tell us personally, what is something people commonly misunderstand about your field, and how would you like them to think differently after hearing your TEDx talk?
There are two parts to that. One is the specific topic that I spoke about, the TEDx event, which was microplastics in the human body. And I think it's not that people don't understand it. I think people are not aware of it.
Yes.
And I think governments don't want people to be aware of it because plastics are a byproduct of the petroleum industry. If you limit plastics, you're putting a brake on the profits of the oil and gas industry. That's a big lobby to take on, especially when oil and gas is a national resource. So I think people aren't aware of it, but it's probably the biggest single threat to humanity at the moment.
Wow, yeah.
Because it's found in placentas, it's found in newborns, and so on. So it's going across the generations. We are being plasticized. That's a big, not misunderstanding, but knowledge gap. In a bigger sense, I think that people are getting, particularly younger generations, are getting the point that healthy lifestyle is really a front burner priority for all human beings. But I think earlier generations haven't all got that. And people retire and they sit.
Yeah.
And they watch TV, you know, and they play with their phone.
Yeah.
Some may go golfing, but I think that sense of you've got to keep moving, you've got to keep engaging, you've got to eat well and so on, that hasn't necessarily pervaded out into society. And
I understand.
it's a simple but really important message.
I understand, yeah. In 2026, they say sitting is the new smoking. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So obviously the theme for TEDxBukit Bintang is all of us. Now, when you both hear those words, maybe you can tell us, what do you think those words mean to you personally, all of us?
All of us in the room.
Yes.
Because it's in that room where there is something being debated, learnt, or just discussed. And it's in that room, and like I said earlier, the collaboration, the thinking around the table is what produces excellence, or what helps to produce excellence on any given subject or task.
For me, all of us is really all of us. We all need a user's manual for an amazing body that we've got. We don't get that at school. We generally don't get it at home. And we need to understand that we are in possession of an extraordinary machine that can do a lot if it's given the right kind of high-octane fuel. And those are a series of lifestyle inputs. All of us need to know that.
I understand. I've been sitting with Mr. Carl and Professor Jerry for just about 10 to 15 minutes, and I've learned so much. But as you know, unfortunately, a TEDx talk asks you to compress years and decades of experience in just 18 minutes? 10, 15, 18 minutes?
8 minutes, but I think
8 minutes, right?
some of us cheated a little and went over.
Yeah, so in your TEDx talks or maybe talks in the past and stuff, what's the hardest part to leave out?
Well, you've nailed it.
Yeah.
You have to cut to the chase.
Yes.
On Merdeka 118, as it was called for 15 years, I've been coming here 3 times a year, dealing with a lot of people, a lot of problems, guarding a design against, infiltration and lessening. And that was a huge process. 5 prime ministers, 5 different chairpeople of the board, and there's a lot of stories to tell. So in my talk, I had to really distill that down to one message, and that is that tall buildings are not necessarily just commercial, ego-driven, profit-seeking ventures. They often are, but they shouldn't be. And to try and make the awareness that tall buildings actually have a place. They make the city. They're the landmarks of the city. They can be the monuments of the city. And therefore, for people in the city, look for that in a building. And the more public awareness is about the power of a building to really make the character of the city, to draw on history, to represent the present, and to represent enthusiasm going forward is an important thing.
I understand. Professor Jerry, anything to add?
Yeah, the hardest part of compressing a huge humanity-wide topic into 8 minutes, or even if you cheat by a few minutes, is getting the big picture in, getting the whole story, because you can't do justice to something so important in such a short time, but you hope you can raise enough awareness that people will go and look a little further themselves and take a few change points home with them.
I understand. So obviously, yes, your talk would be 8 minutes plus minus.
Plus a bit of cheating.
Plus a bit of cheating.
Yeah.
But if you want your audience to remember just one thing from your talk, meaning let's say you catch up with somebody a year from now after your talk, or even me, what's one thing you would want that person to remember?
Protect yourselves against plastic in every way you can in your own environment, through your water filtration, through getting rid of plastic cooking implements and storage implements, and so on. Protect yourself from plastic intake in your own personal environment.
I understand. Mr. Carl?
Well, for me, it's environmental. And I would say that a lot of us take things for granted. And look at what's around you. See if you're touched by what's around you. See if you're inspired. See if you're not. And think about why.
Understand. So, as you've mentioned, again, years and years of experience. So I assume you will relate to this. Some of the most powerful ideas and inventions and creations begin with a question rather than an answer. But what is the question you both find yourself thinking more and more these days?
This sort of links back to your earlier question, which Carl took up, which was, was there one thing that had a deep influence on changing your thinking? For me, it was in my original training before I moved into public health was as a clinical psychologist, and I worked with Indigenous communities in Australia, particularly in the far northwest in the Kimberley region of Australia. And the biggest thing that I learned was, as a newly minted clinical psychologist, going into those communities, was that actually everything I learned was irrelevant. Nothing was applicable, and I had to learn again by sitting and listening and figuring out what they saw as a problem, what they saw as a solution, how it related to their history, their landscape, and so on. And that was the beginning of a process of listening to and learning from Indigenous knowledge that continues to the present. I did a book on Malaysian health traditions called Health and Beauty from the Rainforest, Malaysian Traditions of Ramuan. And every culture has its own perspective on and relationship with nature, and that has shaped healing and food and stewardship of the landscape and so on, and really learning with openness and receptivity and without, as much as possible, your initial cultural lens and conditioning is, for me, the most important thing.
Yeah, beautifully said, by the way.
Thank you.
So, obviously, your work that you've laid down over the past decades, right, will eventually belong to the next generation. What do you hope they preserved? What do you hope they have the courage to change?
Well, that's really part of your first question, as far as I'm concerned. Because one of the big questions that we face as people that influence the built environment is, how does our work today relate to what will be required in the future? And that's a very, very difficult question to answer, because what we do today has to resolve the problems of today. And it's a changing world, and in 50 years, as our buildings go to end of life, will they be relevant? Will they be able to be reutilised? Is the industry around us capable of helping us make buildings that can convert, be appropriate in the future, make change in the future easy, without demolition? So that's a question that is, always front and central.
I understand, yeah. I think an interesting observation that I've made in my own knowledge is the first human flight between the Wright brothers, right, was only 60 years away from humanity landing on the moon, supposedly. So that's, to answer your question, like, that goes how fast humanity can progress. So right now it's 2026. We don't know where we'll be in 50, even in the next 10 years, how at the rate we're evolving, right?
Or if we'll be.
Yeah.
Or if we'll be.
Progress or regress.
Exactly. Yes, 100%, yes. So my final question for these two distinguished gentlemen is, TEDx talks often end in the theatre, right? But the idea is supposed to continue outside it. So what conversation do you hope your talk starts among the people listening?
Well, you're part of this, Adam. You've continued the conversation on outside the TEDx room. And so, again, I come back to my earlier point that what I hope from my perspective and contribution to the TEDx dialogue, people take away is that lifestyle is everything, and it's got a few simple identifiable components, which is movement, exercise, and occasionally resistance exercise, healthy nutrition, less substance use, alcohol and any other substance, healthy relationships, sense of community and belonging. Those are all the pillars of a healthy, fulfilled and functional long lifestyle. And that, I hope, people start thinking about, acting on. As I said earlier, the younger generations are really engaging with this. They get it. They need to learn more, and it needs to go up the scale more to nearer Carl's and my age cohort, where not everybody has got it. We either face a society that ages healthily, or a society that ages but not healthily, and that becomes a huge burden on the economy and families and society. So healthy lifestyle, front burner.
I understand. And Mr. Carr?
I would hope that people left after my 13 minutes, that they had more of an awareness about the built environment around them, and that they seek not to become victims of the built environment, but to become activists, to understand that a built environment also includes parks and gardens, activity, not just this edifice,
yes.
No matter if it's 2 stories or 102 stories. But the more that people are aware of what their rights are about the human condition and how they live a healthy life without plastics, the more they'll become community activists and be more demanding about what is given back to them. Certainly tall buildings the commerce, the costs are so enormous, and so therefore the profits are usually so enormous. Those profits should be shared with the community. It's the community that supports those buildings, and they ought to give back, and there should be a community that expects that.
Yes, I understand. I've only been sitting with Professor Jerry and Mr. Carl Fender for 20 minutes to half an hour, and I can't wait to see how you will compress this into 8 minutes for your TEDx talk. So I just wanted to thank you guys for taking the time, what I assume is your super busy schedule, to sit with me. Any last words for you guys, for the rest of Malaysia watching?
Well, first of all, thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you.
To share our experiences. And just we're looking to the current youth to really take these learnings to heart and take them forward. And we believe that youth boleh.
Let's go, youth boleh. Mr. Carl, any last words?
Being asked to do a TED talk was a bit of a surprise to me.
See.
I'm used to really just making architecture, not so much about talking about architecture.
Yes.
And I just hope that it had some relevance in the program.
I understand. My name's Adam Rakim, and this is Professor Jerry and Mr. Carl Fender. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, great pleasure.
Enjoyed being with you.